For the past couple of weeks, it's been a quiet holiday season in Eve, but Fraternity officially declared war on Army of Mango. The Imperium have yet to reveal their deployment plans, and the region of Omist once again changes hands. Hello pod people, I'm Frost, and this is your weekly Eve Online update. Welcome back, and let me wish you a happy new year, and let's see what players will bring to Eve in 2022. And from what I can see, we're already off to a pretty good start. Now I need to announce the winners of my Scope syndication skins from last month, all the way back in the 21st of December, because I took the week of Christmas off from my show. On that episode, the winners of the Stratios Scope syndication skin are Warlock. And then I'm still waiting for Miguel Pimentel, that is your YouTube name, to get in touch with me, please, so that I can give you your Stratios skin. Now, it's a new month, and I have a new skin, and I will be announcing that a little bit later on, and I have 2 of those to give away. The other thing as well, while it springs to mind, I'm going to mention as well that with YouTube, I've decided to no longer do premieres on the Tuesday. So the video will still release on Tuesday as usual, but I won't be doing it as a premiere. Simply because I'm now doing Twitch on Friday nights at 2000 UTC, and that's kind of a better platform for me to kind of engage with all of you, the viewers. And it then also means it gives me the opportunity perhaps to maybe do a Twitch show on the Tuesday, just flying a ship. I need to do some more solo PvP and stuff. I'm really useless at it, so maybe that's a good chance for me to come online and whelp some ships in front of everybody. So we'll have to see about that, but that's kind of what I've got in mind. So no premieres, but obviously content as usual. So in fact, I'm going to jump up into my box now, and then we're going to talk about the big news for today. Now, the big news for today involves an alliance that is in Veil of the Silent and Tribute, and I think also this kind of... Let me start again. I'm off to a good start here. They're in Branch, Tenal. This is Winter Coalition. So, and in particular, we're talking about Fraternity. Now, Fraternity have declared war on Army of Mango. So let me give you a bit of background here on everything that's kind of happened. So first of all, there was a State of the Alliance that was made on the 23rd of December, which was made by Noros, who's the alliance leader of both Fraternity and Winter Coalition. And this was posted, first of all, with a kind of a straight translation from Chinese using an automated tool which wasn't 100% correct and caused a little bit of confusion, and then a proper translation came out a little bit later. But in a nutshell, what it was saying was that Winter Coalition wanted to remove all hostile structures from Venal. That's normally included people like Snuffed Out, Darkside and Boss, who were pretty well entrenched in Venal, had structures that they could do Black Ops from and stuff like that. So they wanted to try and clear those out, and they've pretty much done that now. I don't think there's any structures left. If so, then there's maybe 1 or 2. They also talked about moving out of the drone land. So Fraternity still have territory up here, and I think also in Peregrine Falls mainly, but mostly Oasa. And I think the idea was to bring them back into kind of Winter Coalition space, and an agreement was trying to be brokered with Pandemic Horde in regards to swapping some space over between the drone lands and kind of the areas of Tribute and Veil of the Silent, etc. I think it was Veil of the Silent specifically. If we're going to Veil of the Silent, this region down here, and obviously these 2 up here, are currently owned by Pandemic Horde, and I think Fraternity want to take those back, especially as kind of things escalated a little bit. There was also some comments about cloaky campers and hot droppers between Pandemic Horde and Fraternity, and it caused some friction in the sense that Cobbins then made a public reply to the post that was translated automatically rather than the manual translation, suggesting that they were going to dread bomb. And the reality of that was that Pandemic Horde did move a bunch of dreads into Q-EHMJ, but up until this date they were never actually deployed, and it was kind of more just a bit of flexing on both sides there. And then also they talked about Pochven and clearing out the rope Capel structures. That's still not happened. That Fortizar continues to live in Nalvula in Pochven, and it looks like it's going to be there for a while as priorities have changed. Now, so all of that was announced on the 23rd of December. And the other thing as well that was mentioned at the end of that was about cleaning up Esoteria. But as of today, so today being the 4th of January, and it was a good job I was late with my video. I normally shoot it on a Monday night, but because of work commitments and stuff, I couldn't do it. And suddenly this news came out today, and I've been waiting for the actual official translation to come back from Fraternity before talking about this. So this is what's happened. So essentially, Fraternity have officially declared war on Army of Mango. Now, be aware that I say Fraternity here, not Winter Coalitions. There is a distinction here. So that is the alliance on its own has declared war, as Fraternity have declared war on Army of Mango. So Army of Mango are in Esoteria and Paragon Soul. And as I mentioned, up in Tribute and Veil of the Silent, etc., is Fraternity and Winter Coalition. So there has been some tit for tat in the past, but it's never been a full-blown advance. Now, if we actually drop into Stain, which is right here, let me just delete that, there we go. If we actually go to Stain, Fraternity already have deployed in U-WLT9. So they have a Fortizar there, and they've been using that to move into Esoteria and to just generally aggress and just be a bit of a pain, basically, and reinforcing eye hubs, reinforcing jump gates, occasionally shooting the odd structure here and there. Obviously, with the collapse of Evictus, that changed the map a great deal. And we'll come back more to the actual individual map a little bit later on. But what I need to say with this is that, first of all, this is Fraternity, but Winter Coalition members are invited to come along if they want. But this is primarily a call to arms for Fraternity. Now, this is apparently the first time that Fraternity have proactively started a war. Now, this is soft warfare as well, so to make that clear as well, is that the plan is that Fraternity will mobilize immediately, so that's after downtime today, that's Tuesday the 4th of January, and they aim to, within the next 2 to 3 weeks, to remove all core structures and infrastructure, that's eye hubs and jump gates, from Esoteria. So essentially displace Army of Mango from Esoteria. Now, they Army of Mango only have a few keep stars. We'll talk about the one Omist later on because that no longer belongs to Army of Mango. But there is definitely one, I think, in Artac A. There may be one as well in GTX. And there used to be a test one in here in 0-06XF. But I don't know if it's there anymore, if it got handed over to AM. So that's what I'm going to be looking at during the week. I haven't had a chance to kind of go down there and take a look for myself because obviously this news came out today. But those are going to be the things. So we expect Keep Stars, Fortizars, Tataras, Satios, and what else? And Jump Gates and Eye Hubs to be attacked. Now, obviously, as soon as we involve Keep Stars, this means supers. So to try and destroy Keepstar with subcaps only if it's defended with capital ships, it just doesn't happen. So it's just not going to succeed, or it's going to be very, very costly to do so. So one would expect that Fraternity are going to be moving super capitals down to Stain. Now that's quite a big deal because at that point that's going to attract the attention of quite a lot of groups. So obviously to the west, and so if I go back to my universe, so to the west of Army of Mango, obviously we have, oops, I'm really not on it with my pen today. There we go. Up here on the left, we have the Imperium, and then we have Wrecking Crew, and Wrecking Crew being Catch and Providence. So both of those groups could potentially come in and third party. Now, I don't know whether they will side with AOM completely, but obviously if super capitals are going to be brought down and Keep Stars are going to be attacked, that's going to attract a lot of attention. Now, it has to be said, obviously the Army of Mango are primarily Chinese time zone. Fraternity, whilst being all time zones, it has obviously a big Chinese contingent. And so I expect most of this to happen in the Chinese time zone. Now, that obviously could change. It really depends on when Army of Mango put their timers. Now, if I remember correctly, a little while ago, while Evictus was still part of PIBC, that was Army of Mango, Invictus, and Vindictive, they put their timers into US time zone. Now, obviously, that really doesn't help AOM now because Fraternity do have a US time zone presence, especially if they bring in Winterco as well. And also, they really don't have the time. I mean, if this is all going to happen within 2 to 3 weeks, if I remember correctly, it takes about a week to change your vulnerability timers on your structures and put them into a different time zone. And then AOM, like I said, would not be able to protect them directly as they are primarily in Chinese time zone. So I expect all of this to happen in that Chinese time zone. Now, I did mention as well that one of the things within this declaration was that the plan was to displace Army of Mango from Esoteria. Now, if you go into Paragon Soul, Army of Mango are also here as well, but there was no mention of this. So I don't know whether this is a case of the structures in here will be attacked as well. I don't even know if there's actually many structures in Paragon Soul that belong to AOM. They obviously have quite a bit of SOV. So either way, I mean, obviously it was learnt from the whole statement of Pappy of War Examination that term will never be used again. And Noros was very, very clear to say this is, we cannot destroy AOM, but we can displace them from Esoteria, and that is the plan. So I think that kind of brings you up to date on where we are now. So obviously I'm going to keep an eye on this, and we will see just how much of Fraternity's toys get moved to U-WLT9 in Stain, and how far they progress and how quickly they progress as well. And obviously who comes to the assistance of AOM or just comes to third party to make things difficult. Also, one last thing while I think about it as well, the other thing is I doubt very much Fraternity will want to keep this space. It's a long way from home, and obviously this is going to create a power vacuum. So if we go back to our universe map, I mentioned already, the Imperium over on this side and Fire Coalition, I'll just grab this whole area, I think, there we go, over on this side, and then Red Menace Coalition are here, and I've run out of colours now, and obviously I mentioned Wrecking Crew, let me use pink again, Wrecking Crew are right here. So potentially all of those groups one of those groups could make a dash for Esoteria and try and take the territory. Obviously, if AOM try and take it back again, try and put structures down, then Fraternity will respond immediately. So I don't think they'll pull back straight away. They will see first of all who decides to take that vacuum when it is, if and when it is created. So yeah, interesting times there for the South. And I mean, if Fire do take it, they will be stretching themselves out even further. So I think that's a bit of a long shot, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the Imperium move in there, or definitely Wrecking Crew. All right, so time to move on a little bit. So that's kind of the main news there. As always now, I'm just going to be doing my usual kind of little zoom around the donut. I'm also going to talk about some stuff that happened in Empire Space, a few deaths that happened. First up, I went into Pureblind and I noticed this, and this happened actually kind of middle of December, and I didn't realize it. Because I was always focused on checking Brave out here, and I was always expecting them to kind of take the constellation over here that belongs to Bandalogs, and for them to continue to try and attack Bandalogs. But over to one side here in the corner, it does appear that Toilet Paper have given almost a whole constellation to Brave. Now I would assume they've kept this one in the middle here for a jump gate, so that they can get to the system quite easily. But what this does suggest, though, is that there has been some talks between Brave Collective and Greater Trash Community, of which Toilet Paper belongs. And it looks like they came to some agreement so that Brave could expand a little bit further without having to go to war with anybody or without having to involve any fights. I think Brave is still very much in the case of rebuilding at the moment. And obviously, if they can get territory through negotiation rather than through skirmishes and warfare, then that's the route they're going to take for the time being. So there you go. I spotted that, and I'm a few weeks late on that, so I apologize, but I just completely missed it. All right, so then we're going to talk about Tribute. So in Tribute, talking of Winter Coalition, literally triggered a base data Tribute, and it's worth noting that they had a little drop in their numbers of about 20%. But these corporations were quite notable in that I think they're primarily German-speaking groups. So down the bottom here, you can see that Centaurium, Death Squad, Sector B, and the Privileged Unicorns have decided to branch off and create a brand new alliance called Paper Numbers and head off into a wormhole. And I don't know if they've ever been seen since, or they've just been sucked up into a wormhole and that's it. I haven't had a chance to check their kill boards. Spooky space wormholes. Yeah, so there you go. So quite some very active groups within corporations within Literary Triggered that have gone off and done their own thing. Then I mentioned about Venal getting cleared out. It wasn't all smooth sailing. This was actually quite a while ago now. This was on the 21st. So after my last show in Venal, there was a fight over an Athanor, I think it was. Yes, an Athanor. And Fraternity got a little bit complacent. They brought Drake Navy issues. They didn't think that Snuffed Out were going to form. They saw that Darkside had some Tengus, and I can't remember who else came. I think Boss came as well, did they? Yeah, Boss came in some Serbs. And then towards the end of the timer, Snuffed Out showed in a Armor Legion comp, which I absolutely love, the Armor Legion. And they basically just destroyed all the Drake Navies that belonged to Fraternity, along with the Minakawas that were providing fact support. So yeah, that was pretty much of a whelp. There was a video of this. I'm just going to sort of zoom it up here. I will link that in the description below. It's actually in 4K, I think, as well. It's very glorious. I was actually saying it's very unusual to see a Snuffed Out pilot not triple or quad boxing. So he was able to focus purely on this fight from one tune in his Armor Legion, and you get a very nice, bright, visible view of this fight in 4K. So that will be linked in the description below. Another video to mention as well, which ties in to Fraternity. This one is called, oh, hang on, let me just scoot past that. Okay, so I've got some ads. So this one is basically from Capital Fusion, whom you know as either a Ragnarok or a Hell. And essentially it's a 4.5 minute video, which has had already 7,200 views. So I think most of you have seen it already, but it's worth a mention. It's called How to Start a War with Fraternity. And it's basically the antics of a Ragnarok and a Hell, which are both two characters from the same player in Pandemic Horde, who goes into Vale of the Silent and Tribute and other areas and shoots Vargas. He caught 3 Charons from a pilot that was warping multiple freighters between Athanors on a regular basis, showed a distinct pattern, created a drag bubble, and then dropped a Ragnarok on those freighters. So yeah, I'll let you watch this in your own time. Once again, link is in the description below. Okay, so that's that. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to mention Test as well. So obviously with Test, the big news was that they're based in Outer Passage. They have deployed to Thetabolis, but there was only a light deployment. As I understand, it was primarily, frigates and destroyers. But there also have been a lot of groups leaving Outer Passage, especially the ones that are PvP focused. So if I go back up my list here and I'll just show you, from the point of view of actual numbers, you can see it's hardly made a dent in kind of the numbers. You know, we've got 13,000 pilots still in Test Alliance, please ignore. So still very much a sizable alliance. But these corporations that left were kind of notable because they are mostly very much PvP focused. So I already talked about, I think here, and Incognito mode, who've gone over to Pandemic Horde. Then Royal Fleet Corps went along as well. I believe that Southern Comfort may have been pushed out due to inactivity. But the notable one, this one happened on Christmas Eve, was Troubadour Elite, or BOPE, who had been in Test since the collapse of DCU after losing the drone lands to Skill Yourself. And BOPE went over to Test. And they are very active PvP wise. They have some FCs, they've got some leadership that are very used to war. And they've gone over to Pandemic Horde as well. So, and then right at the bottom here, we can see that the latest move was from Sanus Contracting, also going to Pandemic Horde. What's interesting though is we've got Capsular Outfitters here at the bottom. We've gone to Stay Feral. Now obviously Stay Feral was part of the group with Out to the Blue and Forsaken Empire that were trying to take Omist. So that's an interesting move for them, as Stay Feral is obviously in a state of flux right now. And then one group went to Ranger Regiment, which is a part of the Imperium. So there you go. So that's kind of brings us up to date with Test. And we'll have to see what's going to happen with Test. I think they really need to make a move. I think the leadership now is well aware that they've been in Outer Passage too long and they are losing their pilots who actually want some proper combat rather than the occasional outings with Fire Coalition to provide a bit of support. And so they are now moving to other groups. And Pandemic Horde obviously is an easy move for them. Basically, I think it's a Keepstar chain all the way from Outer Passage to Pandemic Horde space in Kalevala Expanse. So it's an easy move. They don't have to do anything complicated to move all their assets and get over to Pandemic Horde, which is probably why a lot of them went to that particular direction. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a few random kills this week. Let me just turn off my pen. So the first one was a Sharon, which I spotted, which belonged to .rhp, but was up in Blackrise in Lowsec. Made the mistake of trying to gate a Sharon. Now the Sharons these days, our freighters are about 3 billion ISK, but you can see the loss itself was for 28 billion. So it was loaded up with about 25 million of ore and reactions, tried to gate it, and the reality is with a freighter, all that it takes is just one interceptor. That's all you need to be able to tackle you, and then you're not going anywhere. And obviously then just killed with a Black Ops Panther by the looks of it, Typhoon, and Anishka. There you go. So didn't take much to destroy it, because obviously no one came to his help, and that was that. So so that's an expensive loss. Another expensive loss which I noticed was a bar guest that got ganked. This bar guest was just filled with kind of officer mods. I can see there's Vizan's modified cap recharger, then we've got Keika's modified ballistic control systems, and then we've got a damage control, and we've got 2 ballistic control systems there that are all officer mods. And so it became a juicy gank at 16 billion. And that's the reality, is that a lot of players that play in high sec, they just keep spending money on their favorite kind of ratting ship, forgetting that ganking is a thing, and that no matter how tough you try and make your ship, it can be ganked, as has been proven by gankers for as long as they've been around, essentially. So there you go. So that's just more of a warning that even as a high sec player, you really want scouts, and you really want an ult to be able to jump through gates before you to see what's on the other side, just to be certain when you're flying your blingy ship around. Then we had a Titan and a Hell get destroyed. So this happened just before New Year's Eve. And the pilot is showing as being Test Alliance, please ignore. But the reality is that the pilot was originally a Brave pilot. And the fact that he was caught in Derelict, so Derelict, let me show you where Derelict is. So Derelict is here in Minmatar space. Now he was a Brave pilot, so it's quite likely that the Titan and the Hell were in catch, or possibly even Quirius, and ended up in asset safety in either in low sec, or otherwise logged out in space, which is also another potential option, in catch, because obviously the or he could actually, no, the Keepstar got sold in catch, so he could have been actually in the Keepstar, that the old Brave Keepstar in catch, in the system of GE TAC HAV, and realized that he's now in an Imperium structure and had to get out. Now he joined Test and was clearly on his way. Go back to my universe map. The pilot was clearly on their way to Outer Passage, going through Derelict, and got caught. Now what was unfortunate about this was that these they were caught by, like I said, by Wrecking Crew, primarily purple helmeted warriors, who dropped a whole bunch of dreads on him with some battle rocks for tackle. But this pilot lost an Avatar and a Hell, but they were in full suitcase mode. So the Avatar, obviously a Titan loss, it's not exactly good news. It was in full travel fit, as you can see. Although they used cap boosts, I didn't use cap boosts, they used cap recharges, which I found quite surprising. But obviously all the inertial stabs on the lows and the cloak suggest, it was trying to basically go jump through low sec using safe spots. But it did have, did lose a Paladin, so the Avatar did have a Paladin on board, but the Hell was much more unfortunate. If we actually look at the Hell, this was suitcasing a lot of stuff. So if we actually look down, so there was a Vedmak that was destroyed, there was a Paladin that dropped as well, Hugin dropped, the Hecate was lost, a Simi was dropped, a Kikimora was dropped, a Falcon was lost, a Hugin was lost, a Healer was lost, Healer Gila, a Bazi, a Manticore, a Scimitar, Hecate was dropped, they lost a Sin, a Falcon was dropped, and then somewhere down here, I must have missed it, there was a Marshal, there we go, and a Marshal was dropped as well as an Eagle. So quite the loot drop there for the Wrecking Crew pilots, purple helmeted warrior pilots that destroyed both of these on a move up. So move ups now are extremely difficult to do with the mobile observatory mechanic now, where you can basically decloak someone. We have a percentage of decloaking someone after 15 minutes. Makes it very, very difficult to move supers and cap up and then be able to jump again within the time. So you can only do one jump and then you have to kind of safe log, maybe two at most. Whilst before you could, you could just sit in space cloaked knowing you're okay and just let your cap recharge. So yeah, very, very difficult moving super carriers now without kind of that keep start change, or super capital, should I say. All right, so time to do the giveaway. So the giveaway now is my new skin. So the skin is the Venture. So for all of the new bros and stuff that are out in high sec and stuff, I have a skin for you for a change. And for all my nullsec pilots, well, your industrial Sino is going to look blingy before it gets blacked by a passing Cinnaball. So there you go. So you can have a skin for your Venture. The skin will definitely be worth more than the ship. So, it's one way to definitely bling up that Venture without having to put officer mods on it. Okay, so I need a keyword. I think the keyword is going to be mine. Obviously, it's a Venture. You can use the word mine both in the sense of mining, or you can also say it's mine. It's up to you how you use it. The main thing is you use the word mine, M-I-N-E. The cutoff date will be 1800 UTC on Friday the 7th of January. The way you use this keyword is you enter a comment in the YouTube comments down below. You make a sentence, please, something that I can recognize, not just the word. And then I will then do a random draw of 2 Venture skins, and I will announce the winners next week. And then do check your YouTube comments over the weekend and see if I've replied to you to see if you've won the skin. Okay, so there we go. So that's that. Let's jump back to our map. I'm going to talk very quickly about Catch. So in Catch, there was a little bit of a Christmas fleet that went on. There's a few Christmas fleets go on. This one's quite notable. It happened in GE TAC-8JV. It was organized between Wrecking Crew and the Imperium, primarily Goonswarm Federation. And they basically brought a whole bunch of Marauders. So I think there's a bunch of Vargas down here and some Paladins, possibly. There's Vargas. I can see, there we go. So I can see some Vargas here. There was some Golems and the Kronos, I think is the Galanti one, right? And there's the Paladins, yeah. So a bunch of Marauders that came along, a bunch of battleships as well, a fax for support, and then one brought a Battle Orca, which you don't see very often. And yeah, so they had some lulls. The Imperium kind of responded with numbers that were able to take it on. They came primarily with Feroxes, quite a lot of Feroxes, obviously, to make up for the firepower of the Marauders. And my understanding is the Titan was brought primarily to deal with the fax on the other side there. So there you go. Both sides, I think, enjoyed the fight. It didn't last very long, but lots of ships were destroyed and people had lots of fun with it. So that's the main thing. Okay, so now what do I need to talk about? I'm not going to talk about too much about Fire in terms of what they've been doing with the initiative. The initiative and Fire have been pushing each other's buttons, so to speak, or the initiative have been pushing Fire's buttons, same as the Imperium or Goonswarm in particular. They were doing some SIG squads out of Curse. And so they've just been kind of harassing more than anything else. And there's been a few fights, but I'll skip over that for now. There was nothing major. The thing that is major, though, was Omist. So if you remember on my last episode, war was coming to Omist. Out of the blue, we're going to try with Forsaken Empire and Stay Feral to try and hold Omist. They made a call out on Reddit and around New Eden saying, come and help us. We're going to take the stand and fight. And it kind of all fizzled out. And the reason why it all fizzled out, it all came about because of stuff that happened in QSF-EJ. So what happened was there was a keep star there that belonged to Army of Mango. And out of the blue, we're using it as a staging system. Fire Coalition then dropped a Fortizar on grid with it and reinforced the shield timer. At that point, negotiations then ensued between Army of Mango and Fire Coalition. And Out of the Blue found themselves to have their docking rights removed from Army of Mango's Keepstar. And so therefore they were unable to fight anymore. All of their other structures have been pretty much destroyed by this point by Fire Coalition. And so with having no staging, they were unable to continue the fight. On top of that, Army of Mango actually appeared to have sold the Keepstar to Fire Coalition, and when I checked this morning, the Keepstar in QSF-EJ now belongs to XIX, which means this is now the 5th Keepstar in Fire Coalition's territory. So there you go, so that's it. Now, as far as I know, I think out of the blue, Stay Feral and Forsaken Empire are now going to look for new homes, possibly Wrecking Crew, maybe somewhere else. We'll have to keep an eye on that and find out what goes on. But yeah, so that just ended very, very quickly, both through overwhelming force from Fire Coalition and also through some backdoor diplomacy, which kind of just ended it. The problem with dealing with big blocks is that there's always back channels that can achieve a lot. So there you go. Yeah, there's not much else to say about that, really. So then we're going to come back to Esoteria quickly, because I mentioned Esoteria earlier, obviously because of the Big News Winter Coalition. It's worth also mentioning that Ferrata Victrix, which is part of Steinruß, and Fastkick, part of Steinruß, are going after these two constellations on the left-hand side of the map. They're nice and close to Stein, and obviously they're taking advantage of the fact that Evictus are no more, and the AOM are in a bit of trouble right now. So they are definitely pushing back into Esoteria, and obviously that will work very much in Fraternity's favour, and Fraternity and Steinruß have worked quite a lot in the past anyway, so I would imagine that's going to happen even more so now that the formal war has been declared by Fraternity. The other thing as well to mention about Evictus, so obviously the Evictus exodus is now pretty much complete. If I just go back to the overview, you can see now that most of the corporations have now found themselves a new home. If we go back to that and we scroll down to the bottom of the screen, you will see basically two main groups have been joined. So the first one is Reloaded. So Reloaded was started by Inti, and now a few other groups have now joined Reloaded. So Reloaded is kind of the born again Evictus. So it is members of Evictus that have created a new alliance. And it is my understanding, although this hasn't been confirmed yet, I've not seen any absolute proof of this, but it's my understanding the Reloaded plan to join Red Menace Coalition in Impasse and boost Red Menace's coalition's numbers. So that remains to be seen, but obviously, you know, we've seen quite a few corps there have decided to stay together. Obviously, the rest primarily have gone to Wrecking Crew. So, for example, Hero University, Hero Coalition is part of Wrecking Crew. So you can see quite a few there, I'm highlighting them all in blue, have gone and joined the Rogue Consortium as well. So these have all joined Wrecking Crew, and then a couple have gone, so the yellow ones have gone over to Imperium, so Machinum's gone to Initiative, and Infinite Choices have gone to Jakari's. And just one group, as Vigilant Bandits, have gone over to What Possibly Could Go Wrong, which is part of Red Menace Coalition. So they'll probably still be flying with Reloaded if Reloaded go there. Right, so that's that. Then I just need to mention, obviously back in Fountain, we know that the Initiative have been living here, and since the end of the war, they've been focusing on growing their numbers. They have now pushed over 10,000 members. I think about a year ago, there were about 5,000 members. And if we actually scroll down to the bottom of the corporations, it is kind of a bit of a cheat because they managed to push it over 10,000 by pulling in, where was it? I've lost it now. Where was it? I could have sworn it was there. Maybe they've changed it in the last few days. But they did have their group. Hang on, have they left? Oh no, sorry, I don't know what's going on. I've gone too far down. There we go, that's better. Soul Machines. So there we go. So Soul Machines was the alt corporation of the Initiative that was primarily alpha tunes that belong to Initiative member pilots, and also a few alts, and they've now collapsed that into the Initiative, and obviously it's given them a nice little boost there of 1,781 pilots, which took them over 10,000, which allows them to get to a bit of a join a club that isn't that big. You know, obviously you've got Brave Collective, Test, Pandemic Horde, Karma Fleet, which is a corporation, all over 10,000 members, but there's not that many groups that have that kind of member count. All right, so I think that's it, is it? Okay, yeah, so I've mentioned Alvula, not much going on. Just going to mention a few videos now, just to finish off. CMMNN have released another video. If you're not familiar with this, this is WAMP, or Weapons of Mass Production, to kind of do their own sort of news, very propaganda focused. And presented by Caldari Middleman. Caldari Middleman is also running an event later this month called the Great MTU Hunt. I will link it in the description below, and you can go and check that out for yourselves. Basically, it looks like it's a contest for who can kill the most MTUs over a certain period of time. So go and check out the forum post and see if you want to enter that and take part in that. Then also Bombers Bar did a 2021 highlights, a year in review. So you get to watch this as well. Obviously, Bombers Bar are very active as a NPSI group, not Purple Shoot It, with public fleets. And these are just a few of the clips of some of the stuff they got up to during the year, and worth a view. So once again, linked in the description below. Then I want to point out as well that there was the Luminaire event where there were all the fireworks in Luminaire. Now, I haven't mentioned Razorian before, and I really want to give him a mention because he does these amazing screenshots, which if you want really colorful backdrops, they're incredible because these are also really high resolution. This one is 6,880 by 2,880 pixels. If you can see, I can zoom right in, there you go, and get a really good close. It's so vibrant and clear. And he does a lot of post-production work on these as well to make them super vibrant. There's one here with an Erebus, which is, I think, is my favorite. This one's really colorful. Where is it? There you go, look at this, with the Erebus. And as you can see, we can zoom right in. There you go. So yeah, beautiful artwork. I will link his Flickr in the description below as well. He's got loads and loads and loads of different pictures that you can download, so that's well worth a look. If you want some nice bright Eve kind of backgrounds and desktops, etc. Right, then finally, the last thing to finish off with is obviously Broadcast for Reps. They released a new video. I was very fortunate to be part of this. They were very kind to invite me to help out and do my thing. So if you haven't shared this video amongst all of your corp mates and along all the Discord forums and everything, please do. It is a very important message. The community really is there for everyone, and especially over the holiday period. You know, this is the time when this was released. It's a time when people sometimes feel very cut off from the rest of the world. So please do share this video as much as possible. Keep it relevant, and every few months just drop it in again into forums and everything. Just remind everybody that it's there, please. All right, so I think that's everything from me. Yes, it is. So I got to finish off with say, please like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications. And if I don't see you on the Twitch show on Friday, or maybe on the stream some other times, I will see you next week. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.